Hi everyone, I'm Charlie Brooks, actress and founder of IAMPRO. Welcome to the IAMPRO podcast, where I interview performers, actors and theatre and filmmakers about their journey into the industry, their process as creatives and how they became pro. So sit back, enjoy, while I extract all of the juiciest information we need. And welcome to our I Am Pro Q&A podcast. This month, I have got with me Millie Hikasa, who I was in the play The Ocean at the End of the Lane with, whose face I'm seeing again for the first time in ages. So welcome.
So excited to be here.
I know. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and chat with us.
Not at all.
How is life after a year-long tour and West End run?
Oh my goodness. It is. Do you know what? It's quite nice to have some time back to myself again and like go to the theatre and not just watch our show. But it's been a complete whirlwind. Like, I don't quite know what to do with myself most of the time at the moment. I'm like, surely I should be doing something. But it's been epic. Went on holiday straight after, which was a nice like way to break the year, I think. Because I think if I hadn't gone away, I would have just been upset. I'd have just been like, oh my goodness, it's the end. What do I do with myself now? But having that to do was quite nice. But yeah, it's just been a bit crazy, I think.
Yeah, let's unpick that for a minute. Let's talk about that. So the going into sort of the abyss after a long job with no work lined up. How do you manage that? Because it's hard. I'm sitting in it at the moment and it's hard.
Do you know what? You just sort of have to keep yourself motivated and just know that there's something around the corner. Like, and you've got to find other things as well to like keep your mind off just acting, I think. Like, for the first couple of weeks, I was like, what do I do? What do I need to do? And like, that was just like applying for like little muggle jobs and trying to find something that I wanted to do. And that was the other thing. Like, when I was applying for muggle jobs, it's all stuff that I wanted to be able to do as well. Like, I didn't want to just do something because I needed money and I need to have a job. It was because like, I want to be motivated as well and be able to have a flexible schedule to be able to do other things as well. And then also just like trying to keep creative as well and like just practicing like random self-tapes, even if you haven't got self-tapes through, and just, yeah, I guess like just trying everything you can to just stay afloat and just stay like, yeah, I don't know. It's so tough.
It is. So let's talk about muggle jobs, as we call them. What do yours look like, and what does that mean for people?
So before Oceans, I was working front of house at a theatre, and then because of the tour, I had to be let go because it was a year away, so I could do it. So then I was applying again, and then there was no jobs available at the theatre where I was working at before. So I'm now working front of house for like Barcore, which is just like fitness/gym stuff, which is great because it means that this is where it becomes a bit savvy, that you're like, okay, I want to keep fit as well as an actor, and I want to keep like active. So by working there, I get like perks and like classes for free as well. So it means that I can save money by like earning money, which is quite nice. But it's also 0 hours, which means that I can pick and choose when my shifts are, and like if I need to quickly switch stuff around because like an audition's come through or a self-tape's come through, like, and I need to have a day off, it means that I'm not stuck in a contract where I have to like do those specific hours. I can easily find cover. I can easily like switch it if I need to, and I can book off days as well. Like, I can say I'm not available for these days, which makes it so much more flexible as an actor to be able to do that, because something will just pop up immediately and you're like, I need to be able to
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
So you work front of house. Is that something you'd recommend for young aspiring actors? And is it a good opportunity to network? Would you say it's something to do?
100%. I think it's a great opportunity. And also it means you get to watch so many shows. I mean, obviously it depends where you work, but the theatre I was working, like, a show was on at like a month at a time, 6 weeks. So it meant that every 6 weeks there was a new show, which then meant that even though I was watching the same show a lot for the 6 weeks, you learn so many different things because you see how the actors change things on stage and you see how different it is every night. And then you get to see another show and see how that is. First preview to the end of like the process they go through as well. Something that like as actors and the creative team, you sort of only really see. So it's sort of really nice to work front of house. And it also means that you get also network, like the amount of people that walk through the doors, directors, writers, casting directors, like if you know who they are, they're sort of around, especially, and press nights as well is always a good place to work as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So I worked with this very talented and committed young lady for a whole year, and your work ethic was like no other I've ever experienced. It's unique and it's incredible. And I just want to know how you learnt your discipline and what tips you have for people. I mean, you didn't miss a show, one show,
Mm.
but that was it for a birthday. But you didn't miss a show, and you fought through even when you were feeling poorly, or it's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, I think I learned the discipline from probably my mum and like dance lessons. And like because both my parents are ballet dancers. My mum's a ballet teacher, and it was always like you've got to be in class, and you unless your like leg is falling off or you're like dying, then you've just got to do it. And look,
Yeah.
there are obviously circumstances now, and I think COVID taught us a lot. Like, you've got to like, you don't have to push through if you don't feel like you can. Like, that is 100% the case. Like, if you're never 100%, don't do it, and you shouldn't force yourself to do something that you don't feel well enough to do.
Yeah.
But on the tour, I never felt like I was like, okay, if I can't do the show, there was never a point where I was like, I can push through, but I just love doing the show, and also it was just such a like an incredible opportunity, and I loved doing that. I loved doing the job, so I couldn't.
Yeah.
I just could. There's no way. I just wanted to do it every night.
No.
So I think probably it comes from my mum. I think it comes
Yeah.
from like that you've got to do it. You've got to push through. You're doing the
Yeah.
thing you love. People were dying to be in that role. So like you've got to give it everything. So I think that's probably where it comes from. And also like I mean I'm also Japanese, so that's the heritage comes through on that as well, where it's like no, you got to get on with it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And before Oceans, you did
Mm.
another play at the National where
Yeah.
you were an understudy for a year.
Yeah.
Was that a no-brainer to take that part as an understudy for you?
100%. I coming out of like it was the first job I was still in at drama school, and I got the job. And it came through, and it was understudy and like ensemble, but I knew the ensemble track wasn't very heavy. It was like one dance and that was it. So I knew for like the whole 2.5 hours I was pretty much going to be in the dressing room. But I was understudying the lead. It was at the National on the Olivier. I thought, look, I don't care. Like I will learn so much about being an understudy as well, and like the process that they have to go through of like just being able to learn it and being dropped in it at any given point. And like learning a show, it's so I loved understudying because it's so interesting. It's like you as an actor obviously want to put your creative stamp on a character, but as an understudy you have to replicate like sort of the actor's choices. Like you have to be able to do that. Now obviously there's creative license in being able to like change a few things and like put a little bit of you into it, but for the majority you've got to be able to do the show that they are doing. So it's trying to like battle this creativity you want, and like, oh, I think it could be this way, or I think it could be this way, but you're like, that's not my choice to make.
Mm.
I've got to I've just got to do what they want. Like that's what's happening, because otherwise it's going to throw everyone off. But saying that, you do get a bit of creative license to be able to play around with it a little bit, because you don't want to completely replicate the performance. So yeah, it was just so interesting. It was a no-brainer. Like the opportunity was phenomenal. Like the people I got to work with are incredible. The people like Natalie, who I understudied, is like the loveliest person I've ever met. and she was so helpful. And especially as like a nervous grad, I was like, what do I do? And
Yeah.
it puts you at ease as well. And yeah.
Yeah. An extraordinary way in to learn. I mean, but let's not ever, the job of an understudy is huge. Don't know if I could do it. And then to be dropped on stage,
It's
like at
huge.
the last minute, potentially, it's massive. I'd be like,
You're like, I've got to know everything at all times because you never know.
I know.
It's just
And some people cover more than one part. It's
uh,
like,
one part was me. I don't know if I could do more.
no, not me, not me. Okay, great. So when we were just speaking about sort of being in between jobs and you said just staying creative, what things do you do to stay creative?
Like read as many plays. Like I'm always in the National Theatre Bookshop. Like they probably have half of my salary from Oceans because like we just go in and like find plays, see new plays, go to the theatre. Obviously like theatre is like can be super expensive, but like I always try and find day seats because the day seat rate is better, like is cheaper and it's more accessible. Or there's always a scheme for like younger people, like 16 to 25. Most theatres will have like a £10 to £20 ticket scheme. So always trying to find like deals and going to the theatre and seeing other things because it's always so inspiring to see other people on stage. I think I've seen about 10 shows already this year, and it's only February.
I've never known anyone see as many shows as you do.
I know, it's like if I've got a free night and there's a ticket that's just come up, I'm like to the theatre. It's pretty intense, but it's a good way to stay creative. Reading plays, writing. I'm not the biggest writer, but like trying to if you like this is really naughty, but like hearing conversations, like if you like eavesdrop on tube, you can sort of like start to piece together like stories that you might want to create or like and it's so nice to just like jot it down in a notes page because it might just be from like 7 different conversations and you're like, oh, this could be fun. And just like trying to stay that sparky creative. Like sign up to classes, like what else? Like practicing self-tapes. I think I mentioned it, but like just finding scenes and like getting in front of the camera and practicing it for yourself if you can't go to a class. Just like trying it and seeing how it feels and then going, okay, this works, this didn't. And sort of just trying to stay on top of it as much as possible.
Yeah, yeah. All very good advice. I went to see Dear England, by the way. It's extraordinary. So thank you for going. You have to see it.
Yeah, 100%. It was so good. It's brilliant.
So good. So you are an arts ed baby.
I am.
As am I. Well, I went for a year and you did the full shebang, didn't you?
I did.
What was your experience of drama school like? Your biggest takeout?
I love drama school. I thought it was incredible. And I also, because I did a foundation as well, like, I thought I was ready at 18 to go straight into the big world of drama school. I wasn't, and the foundation really was the most incredible experience. And I that's probably the only reason why I got into the BA in the end. I had an interesting time at drama school because I was in the middle of COVID. So COVID hit in the middle of like my first year. So all of the rest of first year was on Zoom and then a bit of second year. But apart from that, it was brilliant. You learn so much. You learn so much from different tutors. And like they always say, look, it's a toolbox. You choose what you want. Like it's never like 100%. You don't. That's not the way to act. And they'll always teach you. They always said that. They're like, we're going to teach you everything, and then you decide what your process is, and you decide which bits you like, which bits work for you, which bits don't.
Yeah.
Which I always thought was really like exciting, and it makes a good process because no actor's process is the same. And like the people I met, like you're never gonna unless you're like doing a big tour like we did on Oceans, like you'll never really be on a show for like 3 years with the same group of people, really. And to meet those people, to like meet my year group were great, and I loved them, and they were super talented. So yeah, I think it was a great experience. It was a great 3 years, and I learned so much from it.
What's one of the most profound and important things that you think you took away from the experience?
Do you know what? It was more about me than the actual like acting. Like I went into drama school like me, sort of imposter syndrome. Like I need to prove myself as to why I'm a good actor. And one of the biggest lessons I learned was like just trust yourself and just trust it, and don't try too hard and don't try and prove that you can do it. Just like the work will show for itself. And I think it was, for me, it was more about confidence, and it instilled a confidence in me that I definitely didn't have at the beginning. So I think it just grew me as a person as well.
Yeah.
It sounds quite like,
No,
yeah,
makes complete sense to me
yeah,
because often I find myself in a situation, having not done a 3 years at drama school. I did the foundation for a year and then went into
oh,
EastEnders. And so you sort of, it's most certainly a different way of learning and being in at the deep end, but it's also, there's an element of not having learned how to trust my own opinion as much as I'd have liked to in a safer space. Like going in and figuring out who I am and who I am as a performer, which I've done gradually, and I've done even more, I think, over the last 5 years. But, there's something to be said in that, isn't there? Because you've got to learn to trust yourself and understand and recognize your own human behaviors, which I talk about all the time on this platform, because I think that helps with characters.
oh, 100%. Like I went in super like, like obviously big dreams, big aspirations, but didn't know where to put all of that energy. And look, I still doubt myself at times. You always go like, you could, like you saw me in the dressing room. I was like, oh my god, it was the worst thing ever. I've done this. I didn't do it well. But every actor gets that, and you get in your head. I still do, even after drama school, like, and even after doing like, I don't know,
Yeah.
2+ shows of the same show. I'm like, oh, that was bad. But yeah,
Me too.
yeah, I think that was one thing. It was just like, okay, I can sort of just relax and know that I was there for a reason. And I think I didn't believe the reason that I was there was right to begin with. I thought, okay, I've just got in because, I don't know, it was luck. And I didn't believe that like I deserved to be there. So when I suddenly was like, okay, I actually do deserve to be here. I deserve to be in this training. Like I believe I belong in this place. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I can sort of relax and just go with it now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like takes a second to believe yourself, doesn't it?
It
It's
does.
weird.
Yeah, it does, because we always get that, don't we? It's always like imposter syndrome, and it's people comparing people, and you're like,
Yeah.
why am I here over X person? And like that was, to be fair, one thing is like on my foundation course, a loads of my friends were on the wait list, and I got off the wait list into it, and I was like, how have I got on before my friends who are just like I held them in higher regard. I was like, they are brilliant, they are so talented, and why is it me over them?
Mm,
And it was just one of those like self-confidence things that I was just like, why me? But in
mm,
like a negative way, and then I needed to spin it in a positive way.
yeah. Yeah. It's hard. It's not easy. It's not easy because the self-doubt and the imposter syndrome can be crippling at times.
Yeah, it can.
Um, so we spoke about process and how
Ooh.
not one actor's process is the same. And, again, I spent a lot of years going, I should be doing that because that's how they do it. I don't believe any of that now. Can you talk me through your process and what that sort of looks like? Let's get the juicy stuff out
Yeah.
of you.
So I do a mix of like text analysis stuff and like more physical and like auditory stuff. So I always start by going, okay, this is the script, read it like once, jot down a few things that I think about it, and then I'll read the script like loads, like at least 5 times before I start doing any sort of work on it, because I I always need to understand it first before I can start breaking it down. And then if there are still bits I don't understand, I sort of like I put those like sticky markers on the scenes that I'm like, oh, what's this? What does this mean? Then I'll start go like, if it's on my own and I'm not in the room, I'll unit what I think is good, and I break it down into like bits and like shifts and unit, but basically unit play as much as I can, and then find an objective for myself, find a super objective for the play, then like each sort of like scene that I have, each unit, try find like little other objectives that can like help with the overall objective. And for me, for me to be able to do that, it sort of like breaks down the shift, and it breaks down like the thought pattern and what I want to achieve as the character. And it just makes it easier for me to process, okay, this is where I want that, and that leads to that. Anything I don't understand, I write it down as a question. Any words I don't understand, I sort of circle it in big things and come back to it. And normally that then helps like tie in things, and like I answer like, it's either Stanislavski's 7 questions or like Uta Hagen's like 9 questions, and I'll answer them as best as I can and just try get a bigger understanding. Then I sort of like do all that work and sort of just leave it, because then it's sort of in.
Yeah.
A good Mark Street tutor of mine, he was always like, right, you've got it, put it in the back pocket, leave it. And he's also like, chuck all the glitter at a piece of glue. Not all of it will stick, but most of it will stick. Like whatever sticks is probably what's the most important stuff, because that will stay in the brain. Then I go into like mood boards and like images, because I'm like, okay, this is like what this I feel about this, and like it's always sort of abstract art or like abstract pictures that I think fits like the mood or like the theme, and like the character's like internal energy or whatever. And then I put those on a mood board, and then I'll make a playlist of like loads of songs I think that resonate or relate to the character, or that will help me get into the character. I'm like, okay, this is the music that will help me get into that. And then I sort of collate it into one big playlist. And that's pretty much my process. It's just like breaking down the text, answering questions that I don't understand, getting a feel for the character in like other means than just looking at the paper, and just trying to find like more creative ways of being able to put it in. I think that's genuinely like most of my process. I mean, sometimes you go into like trying to find animals that like find it, but I find animal studies like on and off. Sometimes like animal stuff doesn't always work. Sometimes it does. It just depends on the character. But yeah, that's mainly my process actually.
Did you do animal stuff for Letty?
I actually didn't. I didn't do animal stuff for Letty. I couldn't find the right animal for her. Like I had squirrel, but I thought that was like more of the energy rather than the actual like the physical being. But for her, I thought she was just like this like super. I thought she was more magical than anything, and I just like there was no one animal that I could be like, that's you. So for me, so Letty was like a playlist and like more things that I could like more environmental to her for it, to be fair.
And I would see you writing out, I mean, this was probably 8 months into a run, still writing out some of your lines at the side of the stage.
Yeah.
Talk us through.
So, look, it was a long show, 8 months. Well, a year. And like a year. And there was always times like when you get notes and it's halfway through a run, you're like, oh, I've been doing this for so long now. How do I break this apart? I'm like, I've got into this pattern and I'm not sure how to break it. So every so often I'd sit down and I'd write out my lines, and I'd write out what I thought the line was with the punctuation, and then look back at the script and go, oh, I'm missing the punctuation in those points. And it happens in a run, like you start doing it and you're like, it now becomes part of you. And then you look back at the script and you're like, oh my goodness, that's not how it was written. Sorry, Joel. But like, sorry, Joel. But then it like helped me just go back and sort of just find the groundedness of it again, and be able to like, because the punctuation is so important, and it helped me like actually implement the notes. So like I didn't understand them for a lot of time. I was like, I don't understand what this is. And then I'd look back and go, okay, I just need to write it out. I just need to just remind myself where those beats, where those shifts, where I take a pause, and why I do that. And most of the time it was self-explanatory, but it just gave me a moment to just go over it again and just re-find it, because you do just get lost in it at times.
Punctuation can be really powerful, actually. Paying attention to the punctuation is really important, I think. Most of the time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Especially like big pauses and big full stops. You're like, yes, I do need to take a break here. I need to pause. let it land.
So there's like two pools of thought when it comes to going into a rehearsal room, having learnt the lines completely, being off book, or not knowing it and learning it as you go through the rehearsal process. What camp are you in, Millie?
I'm the second pool. I'm the don't learn it on the first day. Don't come in knowing it.
Ooh, I'm the other camp.
I'm the other camp. I'm turn up. Obviously have a very good understanding of the play, but I think if I went in knowing it, I just wouldn't be able to shift. I think I'm that type of I need to be like, I have to know what I'm doing, and I need to know like the atmosphere and like the blocking. Like blocking really helps me learn my lines because I'm like, I know that this move goes here and that's where that happens, and then it sort of comes in seamlessly. But yeah, I'm camp two. I don't think I could go in knowing my lines.
It's so interesting, isn't it? Because of the when we did EastEnders, when we did Oceans and started rehearsals, I was straight off the back of another job. So that's the first time I've done it without being sort of 80% familiar with the script. And for me, what I found doing it in that way, sort of learning as I go, even though there were only small chunks for me through it, I felt less able to play in the rehearsal room versus times before when not completely off book, but 80% familiar. Just gives me a different freedom in the room.
Yeah, I do get that as well. Like not having a script in hand as well and just being able to just like be free. I mean, yeah, maybe I'll try it next if and when I get my next.
Don't change it. What you do because you do it brilliantly.
It's so interesting because I've just never done it that way. So maybe it would be interesting to go in like knowing like how that changes it. I mean, I do always give myself a deadline. I'm like, by this point, I need to learn it. Like normally, it's the first 2 weeks I'm still on book. The first 2 weeks of rehearsal, I'm on book, and then after that point, I'm sort of like letting go of the script, and I'm like, okay, now is the time to like sort of play, and figure it out.
But also, I think it comes down to the way we've learned and been taught. And for me, I had to learn and be on set with no rehearsal, straight away, finding it all in that moment, And so there's something I'm not used to, having a script in my hand and knowing how to do two things at the same time. It's like learn it, put it down. So I think it depends where you've kind of what training or not training. Maybe yours is the better way to do it.
Oh no, there's no one better way. Not at all.
No, there's not. There's no right way.
No.
There's no. Can we speak a little bit about rejection, mental health, and how you cope with that? Because we experience a lot of it.
Yeah, look, it's never easy. And to be honest, you get more no's than you do yeses in this industry. I've just been lucky that my first 2 jobs have been yeses, but that doesn't mean like all of my other self-tapes in between have all been no's, because they have. Look, it's tough. At the beginning, I think I took it a lot harder, and I think when you're first getting it, you're like, why am I not getting these things? And you're like, but why don't they like me? And I think I've just come to the realization that like, look, it's not even the realization, it's just knowing the fact that like it's not necessarily your talent. Like your talent could be like phenomenal, but it's just what the casting people are looking for. It's like there's so many different factors, and I think that has started to like put myself a bit more like my mind at peace, because I'm like, it's not just if you were like untalented, like fine, but it isn't. It's always like looks, it's like height, it's matching, it's compatibility with other people on screen or on stage. And I think I just have to remind myself like it's not me, and there's a lot of other people that are self-taping as well that are also getting these notes, and just knowing that something will come and something will come around the corner for you. And I mean, look, we spoke about it. I got a no for Letty originally. I got told no.
I know.
Did first audition, did first self-tape, no. I was gutted. I was so upset. I was like, but she's so mean. But I had to leave it. If I dwelled on it, it just made me sadder. Sadder, that's not even a word. But like, it'd make me more upset, and you just have to let it go. There's so many opportunities around the corner that you've just got to let it go. And I let it go, and I was at peace with that. And then it came back round, and I was like, oh my goodness. Okay. Everything that I've just put at peace, I've now got to bring back up again, because I'm like, okay, I'm going back in a room and I could still get no.
Yeah.
But I went with a really different attitude after that. I was like, look, if it will be, it will be. And I think, do you know what? I think getting that no and then getting back in the room was such a great learning experience for me, because I was like,
right.
That second time I went in, I was like, I sort of went a bit fearless. I was like, I can do this. I'll just show you what I've got. If I get a no, I've already had one, so it can't be that bad. And then I just let it happen. And I think I took the pressure off myself, and I think that's what worked. It might not always work, but going in knowing that, like, I was like, I've got actually nothing to lose, worked for me as a mentality. I just gave it my all and went, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Let's see how it goes. And I sort of try to do that for every self-tape now. I'm like, I'm going to give you my option. I'm going to give you my spin. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And that's
it's not into the
100%. And I think that's sort of helped me with rejection.
Yeah. And it's also the greatest thing I know is that I actually don't know anything, because you get a no, and then a month later you're back in. You just don't know ever what's going to happen.
You don't. It's so unpredictable.
It is.
So yeah.
Millie, our students are lucky enough to have you for a course on IAMPRO. So this has been a wonderful opportunity for them to get to know you a little bit better. Do you have any last parting words for young actors who are looking to get into the industry?
It's hard work. It really is. But if you love it, do it. Like, also, if you don't love it, don't do it, because it's too much. There's too much heartache, and there's too much, like, there's just, if you can do something else, do something else. But if you want to be an actor, go for it. Work hard. No, you've just got to be resilient. Just try to keep positive about it. But yeah, stay creative, be resilient, be positive, and just enjoy it. Just, like, the best thing about this job is the fact that it's the most enjoyable job. When we do it, it's just so much fun, and you just get to play. So yeah, just enjoy it, have fun, and play. And I think it's probably my only parting words. It's just, if you love it,
they are amazing parting words from an amazingly talented and disciplined young lady who I know has got a huge career ahead. Thank you so much, Mills, for coming and chatting today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's been so great.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, remember to hit the subscribe button. And for more information on IAMPRO, visit iampro.com or follow us on Insta @IAMPRO.